Welcome everyone. I'm delighted you can join us today to introduce our latest event as part of our spring programme. Many of you will be on a continuous journey of discovery with sustainability, and some of you may be looking for the first time at this area, but here in TNI we are committed to decarbonisation. So we've been looking at sustainability in its broadest form, which includes inclusivity and community, but there are a lot of practical supports, so ways you can reduce your carbon footprint. We're looking at water, waste, food, energy, biodiversity, and generally addressing climate change. We're really sympathetic with everybody here on the call because we understand the increased costs of doing business, and it means that investing time and budget into sustainability projects may just not seem feasible at the present time. But we also look at it about the cost of doing nothing. So how can you make sure that whatever you're doing, you're able to reach the ears of the visitors, many of whom are seeing our sustainable stays and experiences as part of their choice to visit a destination. So these are things they're actually actively looking for. So how do we make sure they find those experiences? So I am delighted to introduce you to sustainability expert Tino Dwyer from Tourism Space for a practical webinar employing the sustainability storytelling spectrum. So it's really about how to shape and share your sustainability message so it resonates with both trade partners and your visitors. Tina has been with us since the start of the journey, and she has helped shape our courses and resources, and is going to share her wisdom once again and her experience today. She'll cover a lot of ground and share some practical some case studies that help you shape your own marketing stories and reach your target audiences. And this may open up even new markets for yourselves, because you might be reaching visitors who you've not yet met, who have passion and energy for sustainability. So we're going to cover understanding your audience, how to engage your visitor, top tips for the storytelling, etc., and just really simple, actionable advice that you can implement pretty much immediately. So it's my great pleasure to hand you over to Tina. Thank you.
Hello and welcome to this webinar on the theme of sustainability storytelling. My name is Tina Dwyer of the Tourism Space, and I'm delighted to be here to host this webinar with you. We're going to cover a number of key topics today. The first is the sustainability storytelling spectrum. Following that, we'll talk through how you can understand your audience in order to communicate your message effectively. We'll look at communication to trade partners and then also to visitors. Then we'll look at engaging your visitor, and finally we'll close out by sharing some top tips for sustainability storytelling. Throughout the session you will hear some insights from tourism enterprises and experience providers around Northern Ireland who are already actively engaged in effective sustainability storytelling. So our first topic is the idea of the sustainability storytelling spectrum. Now, what is that? This area of storytelling specifically for sustainability is really rife with a lot of terms and concepts about what is right and wrong about sustainability storytelling. Two of the more familiar are this one of greenwashing and green hushing, and they're kind of like two opposite ends of the spectrum. And this is just context for your own sustainability storytelling initiatives. Greenwashing first is defined as the behavior or activities that make people believe that a company is doing more to protect the environment than it actually is. It's the practice where a company or an enterprise or an organization really exaggerates what they are doing in terms of sustainability in order to boost their reputation. And it's really seen as a deceitful way of communicating to visitors, and there's a growing level of intolerance for that, and I'm going to speak about that in a little while. At the other end of the spectrum is the idea of green hushing, which is the practice where companies intentionally downplay or refrain from communicating their sustainability efforts or environmental goals. They do that really out of fear of criticism or backlash. They're afraid of being knocked for what they're speaking about, what they're not doing, or just getting general criticism. And rather than doing that, they opt to say nothing. Neither is an ideal practice, because neither is helping transparency or consumers to understand exactly the sustainability practices of the business. In between all of those, you can see a whole myriad of other topics, such as green marking, which is the idea that you would position your business as green through visual marketing like logos, taglines, symbols that are green without any substantiation, for example. Green rinsing is the practice of, really focusing on very minimal interventions that you might be making for sustainability and using that as kind of your sustainability credential. Green praising is the practice we see quite a lot of, heaping lavish praise on oneself or somebody else for relatively minor sustainability initiatives. Green crowding, which is the idea of kind of hiding within a group or within a membership organization and floating along on the credentials of the group rather than taking responsibility for your own individual aspects. Green speaking, using eco buzzwords without them really meaning anything, is probably the most common thing we see. Green lighting, highlighting a small but very superficial eco initiative to distract from other unsustainable practices. And green flushing, which of course is the idea of masking unsustainable practices through selective reporting. They're all kind of versions of the same thing, and I highlight these just to demonstrate really how much noise and confusion there is in this space. And this has been picked up by authorities around the world, really. And for example, in 2020, the UK's Competition and Markets Authority found that 40% of green claims on websites could be misleading. So they had done a random survey of 500 websites around the UK, and they found that as many as 40% were misleading on their green claims. Vague use of terms like eco and sustainable were seen as a common thing, misleading branding, which is the green marking we spoke about, and importantly, omitting important information to give a false impression of a product's environmental impact. So it's a really high percentage. That led the CMA to introduce the Green Claims Code in 2022. And there are a number of principles within that code, and there is legal backing to this, that businesses are asked to adhere to. Being truthful and accurate, being clear and unambiguous, not omitting relevant information, making only fair and meaningful comparisons to other practices or other businesses, being substantiated, and considering the full life cycle of the product. Now, that's a good kind of checklist for yourself when you consider what your own approach to sustainability storytelling will be. Take those as kind of instructions, and then you will be complying with the Green Claims Code. Similarly, in the EU in 2020, the European Commission reported that even more, 53% of the environmental claims they examined were misleading, unfounded, or vague. This is what they highlighted, that it was a problem for EU consumers, that this was extensive institutional greenwashing, and that 40% of claims had no supporting evidence at all. And as a result, consumer trust in green claims was extremely low. They also identified that there were up to 230 sustainability labels active in Europe at the time of that study in 2020, leading to immense confusion and lack of transparency for consumers. This led the EU to introduce the Green Claims Directive, which was actually passed in Brussels earlier this year and is due to come into force in member states in 2026. And while this isn't directly legislated for in Northern Ireland, it is going to apply to anybody selling into the EU or active in the EU, and it's probably going to change the narrative around sustainability storytelling as well. So, for example, phrases like environmentally friendly, natural, eco, and climate neutral cannot be used without evidence. You won't be allowed claim to be carbon neutral just through offsetting. Sustainability labels that are not verified, that themselves are not verified, will not be accepted. And there's a variety of different types of claims that you can be, I suppose, effectively found guilty of. So that again just gives context to what's going on in the legal environment and what's going on from a consumer perspective. So why do businesses hesitate? Well, when you see what we've just presented there, it's no surprise. It's a very confusing landscape, and there is generally fear around either being caught misleading consumers at this stage or unwittingly not communicating with transparency, with clarity, and with substantiation as well. When we generally ask businesses about why they hesitate to tell their story, and within tourism, the overall perception is that businesses tend to shy away from this rather than really go for it. Things that businesses would say, and this might resonate with people who are watching, is others know more than me. Who am I to talk about this? I'm not an expert. Who would listen? Do people really care? Are we seeing evidence that visitors really care about this topic? How would I word it? I don't speak the language. And again, that's fear about the technical side of sustainability. Customers don't really like change, and I wouldn't want a bad reaction. How would customers take to changes within our business? Is sustainability a kind of a negative word? Is something that people are afraid of as well, drawing that attention to themselves. And I haven't measured anything yet. can I really speak about this if I don't have full measurements behind it? And I'd rather wait until we have more done. I'd rather wait until we have ticked all the boxes. So these are some of the genuine things that business owners feel that make them hesitate on sustainability storytelling. And I suppose from today, we hope we can give you some tools that will help you break down these barriers and allow you to really push forward with telling your sustainability story. Tourism enterprises and experience providers in general are very, very good at storytelling. We've great visuals, we've great stories, we've great people. And I think really taking the same approach with sustainability storytelling as you would with any other aspect of your business is a good idea. That said, we have some very specific tools, and I'll speak through those now. The important thing is to start telling your sustainability story now. One of the things to take away from today is that you really don't have to have done everything and mastered everything to be allowed to tell your sustainability story. One thing that is certainly to the fore of the narrative on sustainability right now is that it is a journey, and that it is a journey that is going to go over a long number of years. In reality, most people, most businesses, and most governments are at the beginning of their sustainability journey. And so it is okay to start your story where you are right now. Once you provide that context that you are on the journey, that you haven't, if it's the case for you, that you haven't done everything yet, and that you also have future goals for improvement. So the first thing, as with all storytelling, is to understand your audience. And for tourism, we can break this down into two distinct audiences. The first is your trade audience, and the second is your visitor audience. So your B2B, your business to business, relationship, and your business to consumer relationship. And for the purposes of sustainability, as in many other areas, it is good to differentiate those and to adapt your strategy accordingly, your communication strategy. So for trade storytelling, when you're dealing with tour operators and other trade and even funders, and supporters from a marketing perspective, there are a number of very distinct tools that you can use. The first is crafting a detailed sustainability policy. And I'm going to share a few tips on how to do that. But this is an absolute essential. We certainly know that more and more trade partners are asking to see and to be able to read your sustainability policy as a formalized document that you can share as a document, and they can also hold as reference on their own files. It is certainly the case that the impetus for storytelling and for more formalized storytelling is coming from within the trade more than it is coming from visitors and consumers. So this is an essential first step. To back up your sustainability policy, you should have a detailed sustainability action plan. So your sustainability policy, the first document, will outline the goals you have for sustainability. The action plan will outline exactly what you're going to do to achieve those goals. There is a focus on data and evidence in this kind of storytelling, reflecting back what we said earlier about the legislation being transparent, being clear, and being verifiable requires you to provide evidence and to be able to back that up with data. Certifications are something that the trade are placing increasing value on. This gives your trade partners the confidence and reassurance that you have been verified, that you have subjected yourself to external standards, and that they can therefore have confidence in you. And the language around this type of sustainability storytelling tends to be quite formal, very detailed, and seeking to convince through the data and through the evidence, seeking to provide that reassurance and not to allow any open question marks around your business. So writing a sustainability policy, now this is quite a large topic, and I think it's something that's worth investing your time in. So we're just providing very top line tips at this point. It is often a good idea to look at what other businesses write in terms of their sustainability policy, but really I would be suggesting that you take this as an internal exercise, and you look inwards first to think about what should be in your sustainability policy. So a first step really is to engage with your stakeholders in the development process. And in the first instance, that is likely to be your supplier, your employees, your team, and your suppliers. And you can work together, and also your trade partners. You can work together then to define your purpose, which really should be the opening section of your sustainability policy. This is what you stand for, what you're trying to achieve from a sustainability perspective. You would outline your key principles. What are your main areas of activity? At its simplest, most top line, sustainability policies would tend to divide into economic, social, and environmental sustainability principles. But you can shape the principles to suit your business and your own purpose once they are outlined clearly in your sustainability policy. Articulate clear goals for each of your principals. What is it you want to achieve? For example, you may state, we would like to reduce our use of fossil fuels by 20%. That's a very specific goal. It might be that we want to increase the percentage of our purchases that come from within a 20-mile radius. That's something quite specific. So the goals are really important, and making them as clear and specific as possible is really recommended. Then you can outline the specific actions you might take. Now, this is really top line because you will also have an action plan that goes into greater detail on that, but you can list the actions that you're going to take, and then state within your policy how you will monitor and evaluate performance and how you will communicate your performance over time. So your sustainability policy absolutely should have and must have a process for how you will monitor and review what you are doing yourself, and also a policy on how you're going to communicate that with key stakeholders and also publicly on with visitors as well. So that's your sustainability policy. It should be backed up with an action plan that specifies the actions that allow you achieve the goals. And in that, it should, in your action plan, which is more detailed than your policy, you will have what is the action, who is going to take it, when are they going to take it by, and what outcome will they have when they have completed it. Answering the question, how will we know we've completed it? So your action plan is more like a table type format and very specific. This is who will do it, this is when they'll do it by, and this is how we'll know it's done. And that's really essential. Now I'd like you to have a look at this short video from Royal Portrush Golf Club as an example of a business that is showing this type of formal communication that will appeal directly to trade partners.
We see ourselves as custodians of this beautiful site. We have a sense of responsibility that we manage things as environmentally sensibly as possible. I'm John Lawler, General Manager of Royal Portrush Golf Club. It's getting expensive to run buildings like this and operations like this. If we can become more sustainable about how we do things, that makes sense for us. The club has introduced 2 installations of solar PV, one a modest enough installation on the roof of this building, but mainly on the greenkeeper sheds, which will power all of the machinery that charges and all the activity that goes on in the sheds. By saving up and storing all this excess energy, we can use the irrigation pumps at night from solar. The other installation we've done on the greenkeeper sheds is we're on a pilot program for solar thermal, which will provide all the hot water requirements at the greenkeeping sheds as well. We replaced our fleet of buggies, so we have 12 lithium-powered buggies. It's a much more efficient way of getting people around the golf course. These typically can do 4 times the amount of traffic without recharge compared to the previous ones. Some of the heavier machinery isn't actually available in electric, so rather than petrol and diesel, we're trialling the use of HVO, hydrogenated vegetable oil, which we believe is somewhere between 80 and 90% less emissions. All the machinery that goes around the golf course, when it comes back in, it has to be washed down. We have a system in there called waste to water, which basically is a circular system. The water we use goes back around, is recycled and is used again, so we're not using excessive water. One of the measures we introduced was water refilling stations for members, guests and visitors. We estimate this has reduced the number of single-use plastic water bottles that we put through the site by about 10,000 per annum. In year 1 of our programme, we put all of the infrastructure in. The next stage is looking at what other ideas are out there. So Royal Portrush was GEO certified golf environmental organisation. Just before they opened in 2019, became the first club on the island to become certified in that. So we retain that certificate constantly, and that's very much measuring our outputs, measuring waste, measuring all those things. We want to make sure we can get real evidence to support the progress that we think we're making. We all have a responsibility to do the best we can, and I think all of our members have now bought into something which they hopefully are taking home or to their own businesses as a way for them to implement some of these changes as well.
So I hope you enjoyed that video. Some of the things that you can take from that is, if you reflect back on the video, they opened with a statement of why they are doing this, what their purpose is. They detailed the installations that they are making around the business in specifics. They explained what each of those initiatives delivers, what the impact of them will be. They provided data for some of the examples, actual figures, very much emphasized the concept of a journey by saying that's what we're doing this year, and next year we're looking forward to doing more. So not presenting as everything complete, but very much as a journey. They also focused in on how their own customers are being encouraged to join in, and they finished on that idea of certification, of external validation of what they are doing. So it is a nice example of formal, that more formal type of sustainability storytelling. So how does that differ from stories we tell our visitor or the way we communicate our sustainability to our visitors? Well, in this case, a really kind of essential first step, a sustainability policy is also relevant for your visitors, but not many will actively seek it out. Those who are entirely motivated by sustainability as a decision-making factor for their trips will do that. But other than that, a dedicated website page written in the style and tone of the rest of your website is important. Try not to make it difficult for your visitors to find what you do in sustainability. Make it a tab on your navigation bar and make it very easily searchable as well. The next thing is social media activity. This is by far the best and most effective way for you to tell your sustainability story to visitors, wrapping it into your ongoing communication about what happens in your business, ongoing personality of the business, ongoing activity of the business, and again in the usual style and tone that you would use across your social media activity. The focus is very much on people, place, and purpose, which is different to when we're speaking to trade when it's on data and evidence. So you really want to foreground people, why they do what they do, what impact it has within the business, what impact it has within the place. And as we know, the place is always going to be important from a tourism perspective. So really emphasizing the impact of your activities either within the place that is your business or within the place where you operate, the greater landscape around as well. Awards are important. Visitors tend to react to awards and notice them for some reason more than they notice certifications. I would say certifications are also important to visitors, but awards really give you that kind of content that works really well on your website and works really well in your social media activity. And certifications equally are important, bearing in mind that certifying bodies themselves are not marketeers, they're certifiers. So the marketing you do around the certification will need to come from yourself. So don't rely on external people to do that. And the language, again, by comparison, is personal, casual, and compelling. It should be part of your everyday conversation, not be laden down with eco terms and eco knowledge that people don't necessarily understand or that look like you're doing that green speak that is doesn't have a lot of substance to it. So make it as real as possible. Now I'd like to introduce you to this video from Brookhall Estate Gardens in County Derry as an example of some of the ways in which they tell their story in a way that will appeal to visitors.
For us, sustainability is about the health of the world around us. My name is David Gilliland. I'm the managing partner here at our family business at Brookhall Estate Gardens. When visitors come here to the farm to learn a bit more about our sustainability journey, we take them through our history in producing willow and how it's processed here. And then we look at how we aim to improve our soil health. We look at the different varieties of soil and what impact we have had to create the soil that's there. And then how can we look to improve it for future generations. I think they're quite surprised by how simple it can be to improve your sustainability. It's taking straightforward actions, improving the health of the soil and the land around us. It makes a really big difference to the health of the environment. The best thing to do to start on your own journey to sustainability is to start measuring. As soon as you measure, you can then manage better and more effectively. But there's a lot of people out there on this journey, so go and look and see what everybody else is doing and learn what works for you. It's been a really engaging and rewarding network, learning what other people are doing, but also sharing our experience and helping other people learn from the journey that we've been on. The 18th century house at Brookhall was in a dire strait with damp, but since we found a cheaper way to heat the house, we've been able to preserve the heritage of that house at a much lower running cost, which was also sustainable because we were growing it on our own farm. My family's been here for 6 generations. We hope that we'll be able to continue staying here for generations to come, but that's only going to happen if we maintain the health of the environment and the world around us.
So some of the things we can pick from that video, for example, again, the video opens with a statement of the beliefs of this business. It focuses on people and interaction. You really see the business engaging with its visitors in a very kind of personal way. There are measurement details in there as well. The idea of measurement will always be central to your sustainability story. They tell the story of the house and how the heritage preservation of the house is clearly linked to environmental management. And they also tell the story of the family, that idea of 6 generations having been here and more generations to come. Both of those things make the sustainability story highly personal. We can all relate to that in terms of our own home or the places that are important to us and the stories of our own family, and that idea of generations that are bigger than ourselves. So nice examples of how the story is told in a different way that is more emotive and engaging on a personal level. Just to spend a little time on certifications, because they do show up as important aspects or a tool of sustainability storytelling. A certification is a third-party verification that can provide the following benefits for you. It lends credibility to what you're saying about your green and eco activity. It can boost your reputation in this area. It does give competitive advantage. As I mentioned, more and more trade partners are seeking certification as reassurance that you have been verified and subjected to external standards. It's an endorsement of your already existing practices. Many tourism enterprises will find that they're already doing a lot that they haven't essentially codified or aren't speaking about, and so that endorsement can be really valuable. And then meeting new minimum requirements, perhaps. At the moment, it is not required to be certified by any sustainability body. We don't know if that will change over time, but certainly, as I highlighted on the directives and codes that are coming out, it's not inconceivable that they will gain in importance in the future. Things to watch out for with certification is it can be expensive and time-consuming to complete certification, and it can be difficult to know which one to work with. You do need to do your research and due diligence on this, and we have a few tips for you on that. One tip we include is that an audit should be included. If there are many certifiers who will audit your actual premises and your practices, and there are others that don't, and reflecting back on what we said about, transparency and credibility and substantiation, it is important that you select a certifier that will audit you. What to look out for? Is this certification, as the EU identified more than 200 different certifications, there's a huge amount of them. There's a much smaller amount of tourism specific certifications, so you won't have to research them all, but things that you can look out for is it directly relevant to your business type? Some can be more relevant to outdoor providers, for example, than they might be to a hotel. For example, the Royal Portrush video spoke to us about a golf specific one. So find one that's really relevant to your business type. Find out the costs involved. There will always be costs involved, so it may be an influencing factor for you. What other businesses are using it? Do you regard them as credible? Do you respect what they're presenting? It can be a good indicator. What countries use it or recognize it? You'll know where your visitors are coming from. And how familiar they will be with different certifications. So that may influence your decision. How is it verified and how often? I've already mentioned how important that is. If you're going to invest the effort in certification, ensure you pick one that is verifying and re-verifying when you renew rather than just rolling over. What time is involved? You will have to devote time and a resource to work on this, and general feedback is it takes more of that resource than you might think originally. So budget for that. What help or training is provided by the certifier themselves? That can be important to have that help as you go through the journey and a structure to help you through the stages. And do your customers care? What are your customers recognizing? So there are things, kind of prompt questions to help you work through that field of certification. So on that very topic of certification, let's have a look at these short videos from two businesses in Northern Ireland and their experiences on certification. The first is the Boatyard Distillery and the second is Life Adventure at Castlewellan.
At the start of 2023, Boatyard was awarded B Corp. B Corp as a strategy is all about making your business a force for good. It's all about trying to be that next step into doing things environmentally friendly, sustainable, looking after your people. I think there's actually meaning behind doing things for the right reason rather than just doing them for the sake of doing it.
So the business is Green Tourism Gold accredited. Getting the accreditation was worthwhile. It gave us an opportunity to audit what we do at present, and it gave us some ideas and some insights into sustainability that we hadn't previously considered.
Our third point is about engaging your visitors. This is a genuine point of uncertainty for tourism businesses. Do the visitors care enough? Is it engaging enough? Can I use this on my social media in a way that really connects with our visitors? I'm hoping that the previous section that differentiates between your trade visitor and your consumer, that differentiates between your trade partner and your consumer will help with that. You will have two different types of language and you will have different types of tools that you are using to do that. So we're focusing on the visitor. We're very much looking at your website, your social media, your awards, your people, your purpose, and your place. If you keep those front and center, you will be able to engage with visitors. This is a well-known quote. It's been around a long time from a man called Seth Godin, who is generally regarded as one of the great thinkers in the area of marketing. And he famously said, marketing is no longer about the stuff that you make, but about the stories that you tell. And that's really why this whole webinar is called Sustainability Storytelling, is that to adopt the mindset that this is a story you're telling and not a set of data that you're presenting. And that's quite important. And almost relaxing into that and trusting that you do have a story to tell and you do have the ability to do that. Anecdotally, we do know that more and more visitors are making decisions based on the research that they find about a business. There's all kinds of statistics out there about how the way companies treat their employees, the way they work with their community, and the way they treat their suppliers can really affect their reputation in the marketplace. So those three things for you are something to really embed your storytelling into: your place, your community, your employees, and your suppliers. And you have a wealth of stories just from that. I want to share with you some perspectives from businesses around Northern Ireland that are definitely experiencing that visitor perception of their sustainability efforts is directly influencing visitor choice to spend time and money with them. The first is from Broughgammon Farm, the second is from Life Adventure at Castlewellan, and the third is from Caleavey Castle Hotel.
We bring our customers along with us and really educate and showcase how we are nature friendly or how we deliver sustainable practices. So that's embodied in everything we do. So whether they come on a foraging walk or they engage in a farm to fork class or they're eating in the cafe, that story is told in the end product. So if you're thinking about developing your business and looking at more sustainable measures, it's really important to realize the customers really want that. That's what they want to see from a business these days.
We would see ourselves very much as custodians of the natural environment that's around us, and we have a particular responsibility when introducing people into that environment. We have the opportunity to introduce people to a fantastic environment, and all using responsible means, so whether that's by kayak, by bike, stand-up paddle boarding or electric bike. It's a great opportunity to get out and explore the natural environment, but also combine that with other elements that the destination has to offer.
Customers come here and they leave wowed by what we're doing for Ireland and Northern Ireland, the planet. And an unexpected benefit is the stories that they're then telling their friends, family, relatives.
And on to section 4, which is our top tips for sustainability storytelling. Very important things. This is like, again, a list of instructions, but not instructions, a checklist for you, for yourself. Be transparent. Don't try to over-egg anything. Don't try to undersell anything. Anything you're going to say, make sure that you can back it up and that there's no kind of fluff around it, that it's really quite clear what you're saying and why you're saying it. The next thing is to be accurate. It's totally related, but to not misrepresent anything. That's kind of, especially if you're using data, then the more specific you are, the better. Be able to support your claims with evidence. Now, if you're providing information to your trade partners, that evidence should almost come part and parcel with your claim. But if you're speaking to visitors, it's not necessary to have all the evidence there to hand, but it is important that it is available somewhere and could be to hand if you needed it. Be clear. Really look at your language and say, is this clear to the average person, or have I been caught up in green speak, which is a very easy thing to do. Test it for clarity. Be yourself. This is all about authenticity. You don't need to look around you at best in practice for sustainability storytelling. You need to look at your own story, what it is you're doing, taking pride in that, and telling it like it is, telling it the way it is, and being honest and upfront about that. Being realistic, in particular in relation to any goals and claims you're making about your future activity. What is it you actually can achieve that is realistic? And also being realistic about the extent of the impact of what you're doing. Not overclaiming on the impact is important. Be engaging. Remember that it is about people ultimately at the end of the day. It's easy to fall into scientific speak on this, and in particularly with your visitor communications, remember that this is about people and focus it on the purpose and people and place, as we mentioned already. And be informative. You have an opportunity to actually help people understand more about what sustainability looks like in the tourism industry. It should inform your visitors. It should inform your trade partners. and also even within your own team. So they're kind of guidelines to help with your sustainability storytelling as you move forward. The biggest thing is to have confidence in what you already do. If you're being authentic and genuine about your plans, then have confidence in those too. And you really can't go wrong if you are being clear, accurate, transparent, and genuine in what you are claiming. So sustainability storytelling is part of your overall sustainability journey. The important thing is to get started and get moving, and to have confidence in what you're doing, and to have confidence in your own integrity. I'd like to leave the parting words for this particular webinar, again with businesses from within Northern Ireland. Here's a couple of bits of advice from the Boatyard Distillery and also from Killeavy Castle Hotel. Thank you for listening.
Whenever it comes to a new business, trying to be that wee bit more sustainable, I think it's all down to the small steps. Do it small, do it slow, see how things map out, and then again you'll be surprised how easy it is to make bigger changes down the line.
No one's an expert at it. We're still learning every day. The key message would be just start somewhere.
Thanks very, very much, Tina. So much ground covered there, and I think there's absolutely something for everyone in what you've just imparted. For those who have questions, please feel free to submit them onto the webinar, and to Tourism NI ourselves and Tina will get back to you directly. So I just wanted to take an opportunity to remind you of some of the supports that we have. So on tni.com, which is our corporate website, we have a dedicated section with a learning journey pathway that you can follow. So no matter what level you're at of the journey, we are pleased to announce that additional modules are available. I've been actually completing these modules online and gathering my badges, so hopefully you can as well. And there are a host of resources on the platform, and the new one that we're launching is a guide to water conservation. And I don't know, I was laughing to myself because there's enough snow and water this month, but this will tell you how to conserve it. So there's all practical advice on there, and it's within a range, and we will be offering out more online webinar tools later in the quarter. So just as well, just to remind you about some other non-sustainability events that are coming up. So 3rd of February, we're in the Crown Plaza for our marketing masterclass, and this is supporting our new spring program. So please sign up for that if you haven't already. And then we are working on a series of innovation tourism events and business clinics. The first one of those is in the Valley Hotel at 5 Mile Town on the 6th of February. And then we have an AI check-in on accessibility, which we've been doing a lot of work in, on the 10th of February, and then repeating another innovation roadshow and clinic in Belfast in the Stormont Hotel. But there will be other events coming up as well, so please just keep your eye on tni.com. And also, if you're signed up for this webinar, it's likely you're getting our alerts and our invitations. So thank you so much for coming here today and engaging with us. So bring on the spring, and I look forward to seeing you at these events, which are open to registration now. So as you do normally, just click through and register. And thanks again for everybody who attended today, and again for Tina's expertise and guidance. And we will hopefully catch you on over the coming months. Just like to pass you back to Barry, who as usual is going to do a quick poll, and this is really important for us to gauge some evaluation and feedback on what you think of all of our events. So thank you, and we'll see you all over the coming months. Take care. Bye bye.